character profile this week's on Adam Warlock.
Yes.
Now, I'm going to say this at the top. This entire character profile was written before I went to watch Guardians 3 yesterday. So
Okay.
I've not edited this or changed any of this as a result of what I've seen in Guardians 3. This is still all based on the original research I did before seeing how he was going to be betrayed in Guardians 3.
Good to know.
So I don't want anyone to watch this and go, well, that isn't what happened. It's like, no, this is how it happened in the comics. So Adam Warlock made his first appearance in Fantastic Four number 66 in June 1967. So he's an old boy. But in his initial appearance, he was referred to only as him.
Okay.
And he was created by a group of researchers who called themselves the Enclave.
Interesting.
And their goal was to create the perfect human.
Okay.
Upon his birth, he immediately sensed that the Enclave planned to use him for evil. So he destroyed their facility, injured and brutally, destroyed a number of them, and he escaped their containment area. Shortly after escaping and trying to work out what he was doing in this big wide world, because despite being a super powered nuclear bomb on a galactic scale, he was still also 6 days old. He encountered Thor and Lady Sif, and he became enamored with Lady Sif, and he decided it would be wise to attempt to kidnap her so that she could be his mate.
Ah, smart
Yes.
boy.
Comics in the 60s were different. Thor then saved Lady Sif from him and proceeded to beat him almost to death. However, before Thor could deal the killing strike, he did manage to escape, at which point he entered a regenerative cocoon. Later, he was rebirthed and renamed to Warlock by the High Evolutionary.
Okay.
The High Evolutionary then gave him the Soul Stone, which was implanted in his forehead, a la Vision, as well as a purpose. And the purpose was simply for him to be sent to Counter-Earth, which was one of the High Evolutionary's experiments. And the High Evolutionary designed this world to be a utopian society where everything was perfect.
Mm-hmm.
However, one of his creations, the Man-Beast, had kind of escaped the High Evolutionary's control and had begun to corrupt Counter-Earth. So the High Evolutionary sent Warlock there to deal with him once and for all.
Right, okay.
Upon his arrival, Warlock met 14s on Counter-Earth who decided that he had to have two names, so they gave him his first name of Adam, which is where we get his name as he's known now of Adam Warlock.
Mm-hmm.
And he became Counter-Earth's first superhero, and he resided there for a while in his own kind of comic series. This is kind of before in comic book multiverse was kind of a thing. So instead, you had people just operating on different planets. And how do you have someone be a Earth superhero without having them on Earth? You just create a planet that's basically identical. So that's kind of how that was working. What it is worth noting is in the comics, he was a huge part of the Infinity Gauntlet storyline, and he's also a founding member of the Infinity Watch. So the Infinity Gauntlet is not the same as Infinity War, but some of the beats are quite similar. That's more of the one you would have heard of around the time when everyone was talking about what was coming. They were like, oh, he tries to court death, blah, blah, blah. So it's more that kind of story.
Right, okay.
And then he founded the Infinity Watch, which was designed to stop any one creature getting hold of the Infinity Stones ever again.
Right.
Um, I would say while he is definitely more on the hero alignment, he
Mm.
could very easily, in some portrayals, be described as more of an anti-hero, I think,
Okay.
with his kind of he has quite big picture goals
Yep. Got you.
and he's not afraid to maybe bend the rules of what other heroes would deem acceptable to
Stick to his own.
reach them goals.
Yeah.
Yeah. The ends justify the means to him.
Mm-hmm. I get that.
So a very interesting character
Mm.
that was obviously teased all the way back in what 2016 in Guardians 2?
Yeah. It was ages ago now.
2017 in Guardians 2, 6 years ago.
Feels like an age.
It does. It feels like an absolute lifetime ago. Well, I mean, me and Jenna worked out last night after we got back from the cinema that Guardians 1 came out
Oh
4 days after we started dating.
Oh wow.
We've been together a decade next year.
Wow.
Yeah, it's a long ass trilogy.
That is a long trilogy.